A Kundalini experience might be the most powerful spiritual transformation that you might go through. However, many people confuse a true Kundalini awakening with the opening of one of their energy centers. For a more detailed video on what a true Kundalini awakening is, you can watch my video on what is Kundalini awakening. Right now in this video, we are going to simply address the difference between a Kundalini awakening and an opening of one of your energy centers. A true Kundalini awakening comes from a place of oneness. As we start to practice possibly Tantra, meditation, and mantras and work with a specific guru who's very experienced and very knowledgeable in the process of a true deep Kundalini awakening, then we can have we can actually awaken our Kundalini and go through the full process in a guided way. However, many will experience what some term as a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. There's very much a gray area in this. So, and what others will experience is an opening of one of their energy centers. Especially if you do not have a lot of practice with Tantra or meditation, as you start to practice some kind of meditation or Tantra. Sometimes this happens even when we work creatively or when we are using certain substances that trick your body into creating certain chemical reactions in it, then we have an opening of one of the energy centers. Now, this can mimic a Kundalini awakening, but a true Kundalini awakening comes from a deeper calling, because the term itself, Kundalini, is the goddess within, as the divine feminine is calling you to a greater adventure. The call might not be so specific, so logical. It might just be this deeper sense that is bigger than you, a call that is bigger than you. You don't know why you must make these sudden changes in your life. You don't really know why you're feeling drawn to all of a sudden fully transform even your physical reality, and internally you are going through these shifts as well. Again, I've covered the 7 stages of Kundalini awakening in my video of the 7 stages of Kundalini awakening. So you can watch that to get a deeper understanding of what these stages are. But right now, if let's say you are you are going through something and you say, wow, did I just go through a Kundalini awakening? Is that what I'm experiencing? Now, even if you open your energy centers, as in one of your chakras opens up, you are way closer to actually experiencing a true deep Kundalini awakening, but not necessarily there all the way. So depending on what you have experienced, maybe what you have experienced is a tumultuous part of your life where you started where you got called to maybe explore meditation or mantra or a new form of spiritual practice. But all of a sudden, as you've been going deeper, so many things have been coming up for you. And instead of this blissful experience is actually becoming a more intense experience. Chances are you are opening up your second chakra, which is part of a clearing up way for a true full Kundalini awakening to happen. Or maybe it's the opposite. You've been sitting in meditation, doing mantra work or maybe Tantra work, and you've been noticing that you are feeling this sense of blissfulness and oneness. While this is truly a sign of a deeper awakening, it's not fully a Kundalini awakening. Now, it's not as important of what a Kundalini awakening is and isn't. What's really important to realize is the depth that you are dedicating to the experience. It's very easy, especially in the Western culture. We are so obsessed with making things happen overnight and instantaneously that if something instantaneous does happen, we think, okay, this is it, this is the one. But a true Kundalini awakening for a long time was something that was done under practicing with a very experienced guru and being very consistent, because if we do not do that and we start feeling these energy centers opening up, we can experience life almost as disastrous. We might be relationships might be falling apart. Maybe the job that you were doing is now falling apart. Your old life could literally be falling apart because in a way you are losing an old side of you, the old side of you that is addicted to the physical, the old side of you that is dual and separated, that splits everything between I like this and I don't like this, I like that, I don't like that, I like this person because of this, I like them because of that. When we are truly having a Kundalini experience and a Kundalini awakening, not only are we experiencing this oneness, this pure love and excitement, but what happens is we can then carry this experience in a day-to-day life, because it's not fully possible, since we are grounded in this physical reality, to have all 24/7 to experience this incredible amount of pure ecstasy and love all day long. And so what happens is, when we do fully achieve a Kundalini awakening, we can then take this and be able to translate it into our day-to-day life. So for example, you might start developing it. You notice a higher level of empathy to the point of being telepathic, where you can sense other people. You can sense what they are thinking. You can sense what they are feeling. This is also, once you experience a Kundalini awakening, your psychic abilities go up. But you also begin to have a greater vision of not just your physical reality, but of greater reality all around. When you do that, when we are actually going through a full Kundalini awakening, when we reach this point of awakening and openness, that depression, that malaise, that separation that we had felt is mostly not there. And if it does come back, because you have now gained this vision, this greater awareness, you know how to, when you notice yourself falling asleep to those old ways of separation and depression and darkness, you know how to wake up and how to be present and in the moment. It's truly incredibly powerful. If we do not have any experience with Kundalini awakening, or maybe we have not really been practicing any kind of meditation or any kind of tantra, we might have a spiritual SOS, so to speak. Your body, your whole being is sending you a powerful message to wake up, to awaken to a new truth, to awaken to who you really are. Sometimes this happens when something tragic might have happened in our life, or the world that we used to know is not what it is anymore because of outer circumstances. Sometimes the change comes from within. However, as you start to experience, even if you are having a true Kundalini awakening, that's just the beginning of the experience. That's why it's so important to know what the stages are and what it is. And if you are more intentional, if you do understand what the signs are, what the levels of an awakening is, you can begin to actually do the work now. For one of the most important aspects of a Kundalini awakening is, in a way, able to face your inner world. Some have spoken about this as shadow work, integrating your true self, your full self, into the full of who you are. No matter what it is, this is one of the early stages, which is why sometimes when people are not prepared to deal with Kundalini awakening, they will experience a complete upside down flip of their world. But if you are having a spiritual emergency for the first time in your life, you are starting to feel certain things, maybe even you've done even a little bit of meditation work, and you're starting to feel these physical sensations, again, that's simply the beginning. That is not the full awakening. But once you go through the full awakening, it's incredible. Even the process in and of itself, you gain so much wisdom. See, in Egyptian times, this was the story of Horus. He goes into the underworld, for that is one of the first stages of a Kundalini awakening. This is why when people have not done this work, they will experience this incredible flip and this incredible drama, so to speak, unfolding in their life. But if you survive through that, if you make it through and you gain insight, you get into the next level. And then the next level, you get to the sun, the jewels of being. You start to actually gain a lot of wisdom. Then you carry on to the next level, and on to the next level, on to the next level, until you reach, in a way, the pineal gland. Now, some will say that this Kundalini awakening will start backwards, where that energy, that Shakti Shiva energy, is actually in the brain and the pineal gland. There's a lot of truth there, but in a way, this is a way of speaking, right? Where you ascend and transcend. It doesn't matter rising up or rising down. What it is you are going through a deep transformation, where you want to look into it as descending into your unconscious and then coming up into higher levels of your being. It does not matter, even physically speaking. What's important to realize is that Kundalini came from a time when there wasn't so much of an awareness of not just the body in and of itself, but also the sort of mystical aspect of the human body, especially the female body. And so while you might have some physical symptoms resembling a Kundalini awakening, make sure that no matter what process you are going through, that you do the work that is necessary so that you can continue in this process, because once the process is actually complete, you will be fully transformed. And this transformation then will not only change life on the physical terms, but it will begin to fully change your DNA. So if you're someone who, if you haven't had children yet, it will begin to truly transform the genetics that manifest in your body, and then the genetics that manifest in the future generations of your family. So if you have experience, whether it is the beginning of a Kundalini awakening or a spiritual emergency or spiritual SOS, it is important to stay grounded, so to speak, and to understand that this is a natural process. This is a natural, exciting process of you becoming one. Of you becoming one isn't you becoming an individual, but also you becoming one with the greater universe. For symbolically speaking, in psychological terms, or Kundalini awakening in a way as both an individuation process, or we become these fully realized beings, so then we can go and carry out our soul work. A Kundalini awakening is also a process of realizing that you are one with the greater cosmos, that you are one with the greater source, that you are part of source. And when you do, you see the fullness of everything, and you let go of that separation between everything that we are taught to see as separate. So again, no matter what kind of experience you are having, it is all important, and it is all essential to your growth.